In this lesson, we're going to learn how to solve consecutive integer word problems. And so in this lesson, we're going to look at these word problems here, these consecutive integer problems, and we're going to learn how to solve these. Before you can solve these, though, there's some things about integers and consecutive integers that you need to understand. All right, so first of all, make sure you understand what integers are. So let's talk about integers. So your integers, the set of integers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, so they're the counting numbers, 0, the whole numbers, and its negative counterparts. So -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So the whole numbers and their opposites. Okay, so those are the integers. Okay, so now that you know what integers are, let's talk about what we mean by consecutive integers. All right, so these are examples of consecutive integers. So for example, these are consecutive integers and examples. Okay, so the first one. This set of integers are considered consecutive integers. 3, 4, 5. Those are consecutive integers. So the first integer is 3. The next integer, if you count them on your finger, will be 4. The next integer is 5. Okay. -6, -5, -2. Oops, sorry. -6, -5, -4, -3. Those are 4 consecutive integers. You understand that? 4 consecutive integers. -6, and the next one's -5, next one's -4, -3, and so on. Okay? So that's what I mean by consecutive integers. On the number line, if you look at it, you can even see it on the number line. So for example, the first one, this is 3, so that's an integer. All right? The next integer is 4. And the next integer is 5. So those are 3 consecutive integers. Any number between those are not integers, right? So this number here, that's not an integer. The integers are these whole numbers, 3, 4, 5. Same thing here on this number line. These are the consecutive integers, -6, -5, -4, -3. Any other number between those, between -6 and -5, between -5 and -4, and between -4 and -3 are not integers. All right, they're real numbers, but they're not integers. Those are your integers right there that I'm referring to. All right, now let's talk about consecutive even integers. That's also going to be needed. So consecutive even integers. Okay, consecutive even integers. All right, so for example, here's an example. 4, 6, 8, 10. Those are 4 consecutive even integers. They're even and they're consecutive. So for example, the first one's 4. What's the next even integer? Well, it's 6. What's the next one? Well, it's 8. What's the next one? It's 10. So basically all you do to get to the next one is you keep adding 2, right? You keep adding 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. All right. So another example would be -6, -4, -2. So those are 3 consecutive even integers. They're negative. So even integers are not always just positive. You can have negative even integers as well. All right. So -6 plus 2 is -4. -4 plus 2 is -2. All right, so notice if you know your first one, to get to the next one, you just add 2. To get to the next one, you add 2, and so on. Right? Okay. Consecutive odd integers. Let's talk about that. Consecutive odd integers. Okay, so here are some examples of consecutive odd integers. 7, 9, 10. Oop, 7, 9, and 11, right? 7, 9, and 11. So those are consecutive odd integers. So 7 is my first one. The next odd integer is 9. The next odd integer is 11. And I want you to notice something. If I have 7 and I want to go to 9, what do I need to add to 7 to get 9? I need to add 2, right? And to go from 9 to 11, I need to add what? 2 as well. So adding 2 is the same with getting to the next even integer as you would with the odd integer, because they differ by 2 units, right? They differ by 2. All right, and the same thing with the negative. You can have negative odd integers. So if I have, let's say, negative 11, negative 9, next would be negative 7, next would be negative 5. So these are 4 consecutive odd integers. To go from negative 11 to negative 9, I added 2. Negative 11 plus 2 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. Negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. All right? Okay, now, here's something else we need to talk about. Okay, so listen carefully to this one now. Okay, so let's talk about consecutive integers again. Consecutive integers. Okay, now we're going to look at this more abstractly. So here we talked about specific numbers, and so it's kind of understandable what I mean by these consecutive integers. Consecutive integers, consecutive even, consecutive odd, because as you see examples, you see concrete numbers. But to solve these problems, to solve these word problems, you have to think about this abstractly. All right, so let's look at that. So let's talk about consecutive integers again. Okay, suppose I tell you this. Suppose I tell you I have 3 consecutive integers. Okay, 3 consecutive integers. All right, so I'm going to name them. I'm going to name them first integer, second consecutive integer, and third consecutive integer. Okay, so first integer, second consecutive integer, and third consecutive integer. Okay, now listen carefully. If I let x equal the first one, this one here, if I let x equal the first one, then what expression would represent the second one? What expression would represent the second one? All right, so what I'm asking is this. Now let's look at a concrete example to help us abstractly. So suppose my first one is 7, okay? And my second one then, if I'm talking about consecutive integers, my second one has to be 8, right? Has to be 8. So what do I need to add to that 7 to get 8? So I need to add 1, right? Because that 8 is 7 plus 1. So if my first is x, then what do I need to add to that x to get the next one? We'll have to add 1. So that becomes x plus 1. So the second one would have to be x plus 1. Okay? Now let's look at the third one. Okay, so suppose my first is x again. Oh, let's do 7. Suppose my first is 7. Then let's talk about the third. What would I need to add to 7 to get that third integer? Remember, I added 1 to get the second. What do we need to add to the 7 to get the third? Well, the third one's going to be 9, right? And so what do I need to add to 7 to get 9? Well, I need to add 2. And so if x is my first, then to get the third one, I need to also add what? 2. So it'll be x plus 2. All right? And so here's the idea. To get your consecutive integers, I want you to think about this. So these would be my 3 consecutive integers. If x is the first, then the next one's x plus 1, the next one's x plus 2. You just keep adding 1, right? Keep adding 1. Okay? So listen carefully. Let's talk about abstractly what consecutive integers would look like. Consecutive integers. Okay? If x is my first, then what's my next one? X plus 1. What's the next one? X plus 2. What's the next one? X plus 3. Because you keep adding 1, right? So if you go back here, what did I keep adding each time? I kept adding 1 each time, right? Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So you keep adding 1. X plus 1 plus 1 is x plus 2. X plus 2 plus 1 is x plus 3. What's the next one? X plus 4. What's the next one? X plus 5. Okay? And so that's going to be that process. So there's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. All right? So that's consecutive integers. So when we look at these problems here and they talk about consecutive integers, then this is what you're going to deal with. Okay? Now there's some problems here that talk about consecutive even and consecutive odd. So let's look at that now. So let's talk about consecutive even integers. Okay, consecutive even integers. Consecutive even integers. What would that look like abstractly? So what would that look like? So we know that consecutive integers look like this. If x is the first, next one has to be x plus 1, x plus 2, x plus 3, x plus 4, x plus 5. Right? Makes sense because if x is 10, then the next one has to be what? 11, right? 10 plus 1 is 11. The next one has to be 12. If x is 10, 10 plus 2 is 12. You see that? The next one has to be 13. If x is 10, 10 plus, look, we already did 10 plus 3 is 13, right? Then the next one has to be 14. 10 plus 4 is 14. You understand? Okay, so you just kept adding one each time. So for this one though, consecutive even, all right, let's talk about this. So let's look at some examples again. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on, right? Okay, so if the first one's x, then the second one, to get to that 4, I have to add plus 2, right? To get to the 4. So the second one will be x plus 2. Y'all agree? Okay. Then I just keep adding 2, right? So x plus 2 plus another 2, see, x plus 2 plus another 2 is x plus 4. Then I add another 2. X plus 4 plus 2 is x plus 6. Then I add another 2 to get to this 10. 8 plus 2 is 10, which means I add 2 to the 6. So 6 plus 2 is 8, correct? And the next one, you keep adding 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. So when you're talking about consecutive even integers, if you let x be the first, then the second is going to be x plus 2, then the third one is going to be x plus 4, the next one's going to be x plus 6, and so on. See that? All right. Now, let's talk about consecutive odd integers. Okay, consecutive odd integers. So, for example, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Okay? So, look carefully, listen carefully. If this is the first one, if x is your first one, then to get to this 3, I added what to 1 to get 3? I added 2. So x plus 2 would be the second odd integer. Then what do I add to 3 to get 5? 3 plus what's 5? Plus 2, right? So 2 plus 2. So x plus 2 plus 2 is x plus 4. What do I add to the 5 to get 7? Plus 2. X plus 4 plus 2 is x plus 6. What do I need to add to 7 to get 9? Plus 2. So x plus 6 plus 2 is x plus 8, and so on, right? So I want you to notice is that the consecutive even integers and consecutive odd integers have the same expressions. If x is your first, the second one will be x plus 2. The third one will be x plus 4. The fourth one will be x plus 6. The next one will be x plus 8, x plus 10, x plus 12, and so on. Okay? So that's the idea. All right, now, it is not a difficult process. You'll see as we go through this how easy it is. So let's look at the first one. So here's the first one, number 1. So number 1 says this: find 3 consecutive integers whose sum is 99. Okay? So the way you need to do this is you need, since you're dealing with 3 consecutive integers, you're going to say this: first integer, okay? Second consecutive integer, and I'm abbreviating, and then third consecutive integer, okay? And then now we're gonna we're going to write our unknowns. You need to state your unknowns. So let's call the first one x. So if x is my first integer, then what expression will represent the next consecutive integer? X plus 1. Then what will be the next one? X plus 2. Okay? And you're told this. You're told that the sum of those three integers is 99. So what that means is that the first plus the second plus the third equals 99. And all you do is just write those expressions. What expression represents the first? Well, that's x plus. What expression represents the second? X plus 1 plus. And then what expression represents the third? X plus 2. And what should they all equal? 99. And there's your equation. All right? Very simple process. Very simple process. This part you got to indicate, and it's very easy to determine. And then you write your equation and you solve it. So let's go ahead and solve this. Combining like terms, x plus x plus x is 3x. 1 plus 2 is 3, equal 99. All right, so I have this nice linear equation. Subtract 3 from both sides. I get 3x when I combine like terms. 99 minus 3 is 96. Divide both sides by 3. And I get x to be, all right, x to be. So x is 96 divided by 3. You should get 32, right? Okay, so you got to answer the question though. All right, so the way I would do this is, since x is 32, go back to where you wrote your unknowns and you say this. Well, x is 32, so that means this. That means my first is 32, right? My second is 32 plus 1, which should be what? 33, because they're consecutive integers. And then my third is 32 plus 2, which should be what? 34. And so your answer, you're going to state it as you're going to indicate it as a sentence. So you're going to say the three consecutive integers are 32, 33, and 34. Okay? And then this one's easy enough to add these. So just add these and make sure you get 99, because that's what it says, right? 32 plus 33 plus 34 should equal 99. All right? Okay. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2, now be careful. This time you're looking for even integers. All right? So that's important. And you want to find 2 consecutive even integers whose sum is 126. So since I'm looking for 2, you're going to say first even integer, and then second consecutive even integer. Okay? So always let the first be x. That's the easiest to use. Let the first be x. Then the second, remember you're talking about even, all right? So to get to that second consecutive even integer, you're going to say x plus 2. Don't say plus 1, all right? Because plus 1's the next integer, which if your first one's even, then the next one will be, if you say plus 1, that's going to be odd. So you got to be careful. You got to say plus 2. All right, and then so you wrote down your expressions for your unknowns, and now you can use the fact that the sum of those two integers, so the first plus the second, must equal 126. And so let's just go ahead and write the expressions. So my first is represented as x, plus my second is represented as x plus 2, and that should equal 126. So we have this nice linear equation. So let's go ahead and combine like terms. So x plus x is 2x plus 2 equals 126. Subtract 2 from both sides. I get 2x equal, that's at 124. And then divide both sides by 2. I get x to be 62. Now, remember, we're talking about even, right? So you better make sure that this first one is even and the second one's also even. And it is. So let's go back here. What I would do is go back here and say, well, x is 62, so that means my first is 62. And my second even integer, consecutive even integer, is 62 plus 2, which should be 64. And so your answer, in a complete sentence, you'll say the two consecutive even integers are 62 and 64. Okay? And this one's easy enough to check your answer. because you're told that when you add them up, you should get 126. So 62 plus 64 is 126. All right, so that's number 2. Very simple. It's not difficult at all, at least so far, right? Okay, let's look at number 3. Number 3 says find 2 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 111. Find 2 consecutive odd integers whose sum is 111. So again, you're dealing with 2, and these are odd integers. So let's go ahead and label these as first odd integer, and then the second consecutive odd integer. Okay? So let's go ahead and let the first one be x, and then you're looking for the next odd integer. So think, if my first one is 5, then the next one has to be 7, right? So how do you go from 5 to 7? You added 2. All right? So the expressions here are the same as they were for even. X plus 2. X plus 2. All right? Always think about it. If this is 7, then this better be 9. 7 plus 2 is 9. All right, so that's why you add 2. And again, you're told that the sum of these is 11. So you're going to say x plus 2 has to equal 111. And there's your equation. And you just solve this equation. This is a linear equation. X plus x is 2x. You get 2x plus 2 equals 111. Subtract 2 from both sides. I get 2x equal 111 minus 2 is 109. And so, let's see. Okay, now before I go on, I want to, and I just realized something. So I copied this number wrong right here, because when you think about it, when you add 2 odd numbers together, and let's think about this. So if I add 2 odd numbers together, because this says 2, so I either made a mistake here, that should have been 3, or made a mistake here. So let me just tell you what happened. So let's keep it as 2 consecutive odd integers. If I add 2 odd integers together, 2 consecutive odd integers, what do I get? I get 4 here, right? If I add, let's say, 7 plus 9, all right, what do I get there? I get 16. So when I add 2 consecutive odd integers, what kind of number is it? It's even. What kind of number is this? It's odd. So I messed up here, but all I'm going to do, I messed up this number here. So let's go ahead and write it as 112. Okay? So let's just go ahead and do that. So 112. So let's just change this to 112, this to 112. All right, so 112 minus 2 should be 110, right? 110. Then divide both sides by 2. I get x to be, and then 110 divided by 2 is 55, which is odd. Okay, so there's my first. So I apologize about that. But I knew something was wrong when I was not going to get, first of all, I wasn't even going to get an integer. So I knew something was wrong. So when I typed the problem, I messed up there. It was either here or this should have been 3, because when you add 3 consecutive odd integers, what do you get? You get, this is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. So when you add 3 consecutive odd integers, you are going to get an odd number. So I messed up either here or here. Okay, so there's my first. So my first is 55, and my next will be 55 plus 2, which is 57. Okay, and so you're going to say your answer will be the 2 consecutive odd integers. 2 consecutive odd integers are 55 and 57. Okay? All right. So here, the sum of 3 consecutive even integers is 138. All right? So first of all, I had to make sure that was even, right? And if this was odd, if this was sum of 3 consecutive odd integers, this better be odd. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. Now remember, you're dealing with even here. Okay, and it really didn't matter. It could have been odd, but it doesn't matter. You're dealing with even. The expression would be the same whether it's even or odd. So first even integer, second even integer, third, and then it should be consecutive, but it doesn't matter. Third consecutive even integer. Okay? First even integer, second consecutive even integer, third consecutive even integer. So if my first is x, how do you get the next even integer? It'll be x plus what? X plus 2. How do you get the third one? X plus, you keep adding 2. X plus 2 plus another 2 is x plus 4. And so those are your 3 consecutive even integers. You must show that. You must show all of this. Okay? You're told, though, that when you add those 3 expressions together, you should get 138. So let's go ahead and do that. So x plus 2 plus x plus 4 equals 138. All right? And so now let's go ahead and combine like terms. So when I combine like terms, x plus x plus x is 3x. 2 plus 4 is 6 equals 138. Subtract 6 from both sides. I get 3x equals 132. Divide both sides by 3. I get x to be, and then 132 divided by 3 is 44. Okay? And so my first even integer is 44. The next consecutive even integer is 44 plus 2, which is 46. Next one is 44 plus 4, which is 48. In place of x, substitute 44. 44 plus 4 is 48. So those are your 4. And this one's easy enough to check it because you're just adding those. You should get 138. So your answer, you're going to say the 3 consecutive even integers are 44, 46, and 48. All right, so that's number 4. Okay, let's look at number 5. So number 5, I have this. The sum of 3 consecutive odd integers is negative 45 this time. So this time it's negative, and we're dealing with consecutive odd. So do the same thing. You're going to say first odd integer, okay? Second consecutive odd integer. Third consecutive odd integer. And I should have put a little bit more room here, but let's see what's going to happen. So this is x, so let the first one be x. Then the next one, so if this is, let's say, 7, then the next one has to be 9. So how to get 9? I say 7 plus 2. Okay? Then how to get the next one? I keep adding 2. X plus, and then x plus 2 is x plus 4. So it's the same expressions here with odd as it is with even, right? Okay. You're told that when you add them up, the sum, add those 3 integers, you get negative 45. So x plus 2 plus x plus 4 equals negative 45. Combining like terms, x plus x is 3x plus 6 equals negative 45. So I want you to note, see the side here, 3x plus 6? That's the same thing you had here, right? Oops, where is it? Right here, 3x plus 6. All right, same thing. Okay, subtracting 6 from both sides, I get 3x equal a negative 45 plus 6 is a negative 51. Dividing both sides by 3, I get x to be, and then negative 51 divided by 3 will give you a negative 17. So that's my first odd integer. So that's negative 17. Put that here, negative 17. Now be careful. So actually substitute to make sure you don't mess this up. So the next one is going to be negative 17 plus 2, which is negative 15, right? Okay. Next one is going to be negative 17 plus 4, which is a negative 13. All right. So my 3 consecutive odd integers, so your answer, the 3 consecutive odd integers are negative 17, negative 15, and negative 13. Okay? All right, number 6, find 4 consecutive integers if the sum of the second and the fourth is 48. All right, so now it's starting to look a little bit different than the others. The others were straightforward. In all the others, you just added all these together. This is a little bit different, but it's still easy. All right, so this time you're talking about 4 consecutive integers. It's not odd, it's not even. It's 4 consecutive integers. Okay, so first integer, second consecutive integer, third consecutive integer, fourth consecutive integer, right? So now you're going to write the expressions. If you let x be the first one, Then the next one's going to be x plus 1. Next one will be x plus, you just keep adding 1, right? X plus 1 is x plus 2. X plus 2 plus 1 is x plus 3. So those are your 4 consecutive integers. Okay, now, this is what you're told. Now be careful. You're told that the sum, so you're going to add the second and the fourth. Okay, the second and the fourth. That's what it says. So do you add all of them together? No, you're only going to add the second and the fourth. So second plus fourth equals 48. So what's the second? Well, the second's x plus 1. Plus, what's the fourth? Well, the fourth is x plus 3. And what should that equal? 48. Okay, so always make sure you read carefully. Second plus fourth equals 48. Sometimes it helps to write out this as well. Second plus fourth equals 48. So combining like terms, x plus x is 2x. 1 plus 3 is 4 equals 48. So it's very easy to solve this equation now, this linear equation. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. I get 2x equal 44. Divide both sides by 2. I get x to be 22. So write that here. So x is 22. So that means my first is 22. My second's 23, right? 22 plus 1. My next is 24. 22 plus 2. And my next one is 25. 22 plus 3. And they want to know, find 4. So now your answer, you're going to say this. You're going to say the 4 consecutive integers are 22, 23, 24, and 25. Now just to remind you, it's very easy to check this. All you got to do is add the second and the fourth and make sure it adds up to be 48. So let's check it. Let's just check. The second plus fourth must equal 48. Well, what's the second? It's 23. What's the fourth? It's 25, right? And is 23 plus 25 equals 48? The answer is yes. Okay? All right. That was number 6. It's not difficult. Fairly simple to deal with. Just knowing the expressions and how to write them helps. Okay, number 7. Find 2 consecutive odd integers if twice the larger increased by the smaller equals 85. Okay? All right. So first of all, let's write the unknowns. So I have 2 consecutive odd integers. So you're going to say first odd integer and then second consecutive odd integer. So let x be the first. So the first odd integer is x. Then what's the next one? Remember, you're dealing with odd and even. In this case, it's odd. It's not consecutive, so don't say x plus 1. You're going to say x plus 2. And then you're going to write down your equation. You're told twice the larger. So this is a larger one right here. You're going to multiply that by 2. So be careful. You're going to say 2 times x plus 2. So that's what we mean by twice the larger. Put that in parentheses. Increase, what does increase mean? To add. So increase by the smaller. Well, the smaller is x. And what should that equal? 85. So there's your equation. Okay? So twice the larger, notice the parentheses, increase by the smaller, that's the smaller, is 85. Okay, so distributing, I get 2x plus 4 plus x equal 85. Combining like terms, 2x plus x is 3x, so 3x plus 4 equals 85. Subtract 4 from both sides. I get 3x equal 81. Divide both sides by 3. I get 81 divided by 3 is going to give us 27. All right? So, now remember, that represents x, so we got to make sure it's odd, and 27 is odd. So 27, the next one has to be 27 plus 2, which is 29. And so your answer, you're going to say the 2 consecutive odd integers are 27 and 29. All right, very simple, very simple. Now be careful, because some of you are going to say, well, if I add those, I don't get 85. Well, be careful. That's not what that's saying. That's saying if you take the larger and multiply by 2, okay, so watch. That's the larger, right? So if I multiply 29 by 2, okay, equals, I get that, and then I'm going to increase it by the smaller. Well, the smaller is 27, so plus 27, what do you get? 85, okay? All right, number 8. All right, 5 times the smallest of 3 consecutive odd integers is 7 more than twice the largest. All right, so I'm dealing with 3. First of all, I'm dealing with 3 consecutive odd integers. So let's write that out. First odd integer, second consecutive odd integer, and third consecutive odd integer. Okay, so let x be the first. Remember, we're dealing with consecutive odd integers, so the next one has to be x plus 2, and the next one has to be x plus 4. All right, now let's write down our equation. This is what it says. 5 times the smallest. Well, which one's the smallest? This one. So 5 times the smallest is equal 7 more than twice the largest. So which one's the largest? X plus 4. What do I do to the x plus 4? I multiply by 2. So 2 times x plus 4, and 7 more than that, right? Is 7 more than twice the largest. So 5 times the smallest is 7 more than twice the largest. And you want to and be careful this time. All they want you to find is the largest. So your answer has to only indicate the largest. Make sure you always answer the question. Okay, so there's my equation. Let's go ahead and solve this. So I get 5x equals 2x plus 8 plus 7, right? Combining like terms, I get 5x equals 2x plus, and then that's 15. Subtract, that should be plus 15, plus 15. Subtract 2x from both sides. I get 3x equal 15. Divide both sides by 3. I get x to be 5. Now be careful. Let's still go ahead and find out what those 3 integers are, and then we'll answer the question. So x is 5, right? The next one is 7, and the next one is 9. Now answer the question. The question said, what's the largest? So you're going to say your answer. You're going to say this. The largest integer is 9. That's what you're going to say. All right? The largest integer is 9. All right, very simple. It's not difficult at all. Okay, let's look at number 9. So it's almost like number 8. 5 times the second of 3 consecutive odd integers is 13 less than 3 times the sum of the first and the third integers. And you want to find the largest odd integer. Okay, don't make that difficult. It's fairly simple. Watch how we're going to do this. First odd integer, second consecutive odd integer, third consecutive odd integer. Okay, so my first one's x. What's the next one? X plus 2. And what's the next one? X plus 4. All right, now let's write our equation. This is what it says. 5 times the second of those 3. Which one's the second? This one right here. So 5 times x plus 2, like this, is 13 less than. Now remember what 13 less than means. That less than means to subtract. Now remember, subtraction is not commutative, so the order in which you do this does matter. So when you see the phrase 13 less than, that means you're going to be subtracting 13 from something. Okay? And then you're going to be, in this case, you're subtracting 13 from 3 times the sum of the first and the third. Here's the first, here's the third. So listen carefully. You're subtracting 13 from 3 times the sum of the first, and what's the first? X, and what's the third? X plus 4. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So let's see this again. 5 times the second, here's the second, is 13 less than 3 times the sum of the first, what's the first? X, and the third, and what's the third? X plus 4. Okay, but that has to be in parentheses because it says 3 times the sum of that. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and first of all, let's combine like terms here. So I have 5 times x plus 2 equals 3 times, okay, x plus x is 2x plus 4 minus 13. Now let's go ahead and distribute. 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 2 is 10, equal 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times 4 is 12, minus 13. Combining like terms over here, I get 5x plus 10 equals 6x minus 1. All right, now I have variables on both sides and constants on both sides, so let's bring the variables to the right. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. When I combine like terms, I get 10 equals 6x minus 5x is x minus 1. Add 1 to both sides, I get x to be 11. Okay, so x is 11. So what that means is that my first is 11, my second consecutive odd integer is 13, and my third consecutive odd integer is 15. And they want to know what's the largest odd integer. So you answer, which is this one. So you're going to say the largest odd integer is 13. Okay? I'm sorry, 15. 15. All right, and then finally number 10, find two consecutive even integers such that 5 times the first equals 10 more than 3 times the second. All right, so you're looking at 2 this time, 2 consecutive even integers. So first even integer, and then second consecutive even integer. So let's go ahead and let x equal the first, then the second will be x plus 2. All right, so let's write our equation. Find two consecutive even integers such that 5 times the first, so here's the first, so 5 times the first means 5x, is equal to 10 more than 3 times the second. So 3 times the second, which one's the second? This one. So it'll be x plus 2. But it says 10 more, right? 10 more means to add, let me make sure it said 10 more. 10 more. So we're going to add, we're going to add 10. So there's your equation. 5 times the first is 10 more than 3 times the second. So let's go ahead and distribute. I get 5x equals 3x plus 6 plus 10. So 5x equals 3x plus 16. And then subtract 3x from both sides. I get 2x equal 16. Divide by 2. I get x to be 8. All right, so go ahead and label these. So this is your first one is going to be 8, and the second one is going to be 8 plus 2, which is 10. And answer the question. They want to know this time, find both of them. So you answer, you're going to say the two consecutive even integers are 8 and 10. Okay? All right. And so that is, by the way, that is the lesson on, let me go ahead and find the original page. So that is the lesson on solving consecutive integer problems.